the contenders. Now let's take a closer look at the challenges they'll endure out on the road on stage 5 to Colwyn Bay. From the start in Dolgellau, the riders head west before following the coast north to the first sprint at Tausani. The first Queen of the Mountains climb comes after 44 kilometres, and then it's on to the highest point of this year's tour, Nant Gwynant. There's another sprint for the riders to contend with at Dolgarrog before they reach the finish line in Colwyn Bay. Vulgar is a dark-stoned market town set beneath Cadair Idris on the approach to the beautiful Morthach estuary. The town is perfectly placed for exploring the mountains of Snowdonia on foot or by bike. Mountain bikers flock to the nearby Cody Brennan Forest Park, famous for its world-class trails. The 2018 OVO Energy Women's Tour finishes by crossing Snowdonia and heading along the spectacular North Wales coast to the seaside resort of Colwyn Bay. Cycling is growing in popularity year on year in the UK, and nowhere more so than here in Wales, where we've seen big investment. On the calendar for 2019, we'll see a brand new event, an endurance event in the form of the Wales 360. To find out more, I caught up with the organisers.
The Wales 360 is an epic 6-day cross-country point-to-point ride. So riders will be riding through mid-Wales between 85 and 110 kilometres a day, climbing over 2,000 metres a day.
Of course, we're here at the OVO Energy Women's Tour this week with such a strong field, so many crowds, and of course Wales is a great place for cycling too. Where do you view the sport now?
Road cycling wise, I think women's cycling is an amazing strong position right now and getting stronger by the year. I myself have been wowed this week by the size of the crowds and the things being written about this event. So I think it's in rude health and going from strength to strength.
Who is Wales 360 for? Who should be looking to sign up?
Wales 360 is for that adventure challenger, somebody who appreciates beautiful countryside but wants ultimately to be tested and is willing to travel around the world to do that. So we're seeing entrants at the moment from everywhere outside of the UK, which is really encouraging, and we think we're going to have a really strong field of circa 500 riders come July 2019.
Time now for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with all the highlights from stage 5 into Colwyn Bay very shortly, and what we're predicting to be a thrilling finale here in Wales.
The riders all lined up on the start. A lot of anticipation surrounding the Women's Tour first visit to Wales, heading out of Dolgellau. And the conditions for them, 15 to 17 degrees Celsius today. Cloudy with a chance of some showers. The wind direction should give them a tailwind up most of the route today. And then heading in towards Colwyn Bay and a little crosswind. And Joe, as we head in towards today's stage, Colwyn Rivera still a commanding lead, you would say. 14 seconds over Marianne Vos. Danny Rowe, despite that crash yesterday, she's up and racing today. 22 seconds back. And there she is in the centre of your picture in that Adnams Best British Riders jersey. And she really mobilised the country last night to treat the injuries from that crash.
She did. So she crashed at about 2.5k to go, which is fine in that it won't affect her overall time because it's within the final 3k. But she injured her knee quite badly. And I know she warmed down after the stage, but she said she was in a lot of pain. That evening on Twitter, she put out an appeal to anyone with a game ready or any sort of ice compression machine. And eventually someone came to her and she did get some treatment last night, and it is great to see her on the start line this morning and know how much this race means to her. She has got a bit of strapping on her knee, but I'm confident once she's racing, the adrenaline will kick in and that competitive spirit will come out and she will get through the day.
So the riders just rolling away. There's Ellen Van Dijk from Team Sunweb. A lot of work done by her this week. These are withdrawals, so Jip van der Bos, Remy Casper, Anna Trevisi, Anna Bader Gruber, and Mieke Kroger, not finishing yesterday. And then Lottie Becker, also who was out in the breakaway group yesterday, not starting this morning. So there's the Barnes sisters just at the back on the left. What do they have to do in this race to unseat Colwyn Rivera and Team Sunweb, because they've had such a stranglehold on this race so far, and she also leads in the sprint standings as well.
She does. Corinne Rivera's ridden brilliantly, as have her team, Team Sunweb. So for everyone else in this race, it's up to them to take it. It's up to them to initiate attacks and to create fireworks. And this stage is a little bit shorter. It's 122 kilometres. We have got the longest climb as well in the middle. It's quite a way out from the finish though, so I think we might see some aggressive racing from early on, as lots of teams have got an agenda to make the race hard, to break the race up. Otherwise you're handing it to the sprinters. So I'm expecting some fireworks today.
Elisa Longo-Borghini on the right there in the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey, and such a commanding lead she has in that competition. 37 points you saw there over Kasia Niewiadoma with 22, and it has been really exciting to watch Elisa Longo-Borghini really go after that jersey. And a little hug here at the back from Sabrina Stoltjens and Ellen van Dijk. And again, it just shows the level of friendship around the peloton, doesn't it? Two opposing riders from different teams.
Oh, exactly. So both those riders have been working hard for their team leaders this week, for Marianne Vos, for Danny Rowe, and for Corinne Rivera. But a lot of these girls are really good friends. Over the years, you've been on different teams together, and you end up sort of travelling the world together, going to all the different races. And it does create some good friendships. So it's nice to see that sort of camaraderie and friendship there at the back of the peloton. Last big day for both of these riders today.
So you can see some spots of rain on the camera lens. There's Chloe Hosking smiling despite the little bit of rain. There's Vita Heine, our Norwegian national champion. She's been on the attack this week. Sarah Penton right behind her in the blue and yellow, the Swedish national champion's jersey. And again, as we say, buddies on the right, you've got two sisters on the left here, the Barnes sisters. Good opportunity for them to catch up, and now teammates.
Yeah, it's brilliant they're both on the same team this year. Alice had a fantastic season last year with Trek Drops. Hannah's had a few good seasons now with this team, so it's great to see them both together on Canyon SRAM. They have got a very strong team this day, so it'll be interesting what cards they choose to play. They've got a few different options with Kasia Niewiadoma, with Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, and of course the Barnes sisters as well. So I'm not quite sure what the team tactics for Canyon SRAM will be, so we'll see.
If it was you in there today, do you think going through the Snowdonia National Park, which is pretty monumental for the race, it's great to be up here, it's a really historic place, really popular for cycling, would you go on the offensive really early, try and isolate somewhere and try and sort of get to the point where Corinne Rivera could be on her own?
I think you've got to see how the legs are in the team, who's got what left. It is the last day, it is day 5. Everyone's going to be quite tired. But like I said, there's nothing to lose now and everything to gain. So you have got to really leave it out on the road. But I think it's about being smart. It's not about just attacking for the sake of it. It's about trying to make those attacks in the right place and make them really count.
And in terms of bonus seconds, we've got 2 iceberg sprints along the route, 3, 2 and 1 seconds on offer on them, and of course 10, 6 and 4 on the finish line. Marianne Vos sits 14 seconds off, so it's not outside the sort of realms of reality that if she takes all of those sprints as we get towards kilometre 0 and the start proper, that if she manages to get away, maybe score all those intermediate sprints, she could win this on bonus seconds alone.
She could, so I imagine Team Summer would be happy for a break to go away with different riders in so they can sweep up those seconds. So we'll see what team controls the race and quite how they let this unfold.
In atrocious conditions, the breakaway group of Emily Moberg, Suzanne Anderson, Marta Taliaferro and Natalie Grincher contested the first iceberg sprint of the day at Tal Sinai at 33.2 kilometres covered. Anderson was the rider with the most to gain as the highest rider on GC, but would be the one to miss out, with points and seconds going to Moberg from Taliaferro and Grincher. The next target of the day would be the Category 1 Bolshamine climb for the Queen of the Mountains. Stage 5 of the OVO Energy Women's Tour, from Dalgethley to Colwyn Bay. 4 leaders still clear: Marta Taliaferro, Suzanne Anderson, Natalie Grincher and Emily Moberg. And the climb of the day will be 1.8 kilometres in length, average gradient of 5.4%. The Bolshamine, the summit, will come with 78.1 kilometres to go. And Joe, no one really in this breakaway group that has any possibility of closing a gap to our Queen of the Mountains leader, Elisa Longo-Borghini, who really has made the competition her own this week.
Yeah, so this group here, the peloton behind, won't be too concerned about them getting the points on this climb. It'll be more of a case of how they want to race the climb and whether they want to use it as a launch pad for attacks. In terms of points in the Queen of the Mountains, like you say, Alyssa Longo-Borghini already got such a big lead there. She's quite comfortable in that lead and she can relax. She hasn't got to go and, you know, grab all these points. So I'm sure we'll see her towards the front end either way.
So some good teams represented in this breakaway group. Great to see Natalie Grincher, the British rider here, wearing number 124 in the colours of WNT Rota. And 24 years old, not afraid of tough conditions. She's won stages and the general classification in the Rosnaban in Ireland. And a rider that really is coming on thick and fast with week after week World Tour races in her legs. You've also got in the breakaway group Suzanne Anderson of High Tech Products, Talia Ferro is from Silas, and Emily Moberg of Virtu. And these slopes here in the Snowdonia National Park really starting to bite now.
This is a really steep section here. When it's like this, you can't really work together that well. It's more just sort of get yourself up. So the girl at the back was suffering a little bit, but she'll just have to do her best and grit her teeth.
In the peloton behind now, the action is starting. You can see the pink jersey of Mariana Vos alongside the green OVO Energy Leaders jersey of Corin Rivera, but it's last year's winner now, Kasia Niewiadoma, that's going on the offensive. And for Niewiadoma, if she's got to close the gap to Corin Rivera, she sits 21st overall at 47 seconds. This is a perfect point for her to try and go clear.
This is the perfect point, and she is a very, very strong climber, and you can see she's got a bit of a gap straight away, but already we can see behind Team Somewhere we've got a rider on the front, and you can see the green OVO Energy jersey of Corinne Rivera in that bunch as well, and she's hanging on very well so far on this climb.
You don't often see it in bike racing, do you? The complete dominance, the way that Team Sunweb have ridden this race, because it's not just the finishes that we've seen them battling for, it's every intermediate sprint. Corin Rivera has ridden this race so sensibly, going after every possible second just to have enough in the bank that should riders like Kasia Niewiadoma do this on the final day, she'd have enough to be able to take this race overall.
Exactly. These girls have raced this tour full gas from day one, from the first stage. Very first points and seconds available, they were raced with full-on lead-outs, and you know, you don't always see that, but in a race like this, time bonuses are so crucial, and if a rider like Kasia can get away, it's still, she's got a lot of work to do to get time back, having had these time bonuses. And
you saw just how quickly Susan Anderson there of the High Tech Products team has dropped from the breakaway group and has now been picked up by the peloton behind. That leaves us 3 riders in the lead. Emily Boberg here from Team Virtu. She took a silver medal last year's National Road Race Championships, and it looks like Lucinda Brand that's closing the gap up to Kasia Niewiadoma. And behind Team Sunweb surrounding Corin Rivera at the front of the group. You've also got Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, the teammate of Niewiadoma. That red jersey of Amy Peters there, she's wearing that Iceberg Leaders jersey. Yesterday's stage winner Amelie Didrikson, she went firmly down to the lead out.
Yeah, that was brilliant teamwork yesterday, and I can see 3 riders from Bowles-Dolmans in that group. I've seen Chantal Black, Amy Peters and Christine Majerus, of course all in different jerseys, not in the normal orange jersey of Bowles-Dolmans today, but we can see them closing in very rapidly on this breakaway now.
The pattern of today's racing, so much to play for in this one. Team Sunweb really dominant on the front of the peloton. Natalie Grincher, though, setting the pace on the front here. Marta Taliaferro on the back of the group. They've got Giorgia Bronzini, who has been sprinting well so far this week, but the catch is almost made up to the breakaway group. And Team Sunweb here setting the pace so high, and they're now after that early attack on the climb, as the catch is made by Kasia Niewiadoma, they just want to try and prevent anyone else trying to go clear. It's going to be Lucinda Brand of Team Sunweb that leads over the summit of the Vulgar High for the Queen of the Mountains competition. Good second place there by Natalie Grincher, but importantly, Corin Rivera looking absolutely supreme here in that OVO Energy green leaders jersey. All to play for as we head to the second climb. The peloton in full flight as we head towards the Category 1 climb now of the Nantes-Guinant. It's 6.9 kilometers in length, average gradient of 4.4%. We now have a lone leader, and it's Marta Bastianelli of Ale Cipollini that's now going clear on her own. She's 65th overall, 10 minutes and 5 seconds down on the general classification. Tough conditions out here for a solo leader, but for Marta, she's quite far down on the general classification. She's got 1 minute and 1 over the peloton. They could afford to let her go clear here.
I don't think they'll be too concerned about her individually for the GC. I think the reason she may get brought back here is mainly because the big GC riders will want to use this climb as a showdown to put in some big attacks, and that in itself will end up bringing the speed of the peloton on far, far more. However, in these conditions, I would say it's probably slightly better being on your own, because in the bunch you're getting so much spray in your face from wheels in front of you. On your own, you can pick your own lines on the corners, and in these wet conditions, I'd say that's an advantage for her currently with this weather.
The Queen of the Mountains is sewn up. Audrey Cordon-Ragot on the left there for Wiggle High Five. Last year's winner, Elisa Longo-Borghini, though, going into today's stage, 37 points in that classification. So there's 10 points on offer at the summit of this one. So no one can really catch her in this. She's only got to finish the stage now. And we've had an abandon. Julien de Hure, unfortunately, has retired from the race. Now it's Hannah Barnes that's going on the attack for Canyon SRAM.
Canyon SRAM have so many good riders in this race, and it's a brilliant tactic for them to use Hannah Barnes to go off the front here. We've talked about Cassie Nieuwedoma and Pauline Ferrand-Bravo being very strong climbers, but Hannah's a brilliant rider who can go on the attack and force teams like Sunweb to chase her down and hopefully wear them out.
And she's 54th overall at 5:51 in terms of that team. So Pauline Ferrand-Bravo 10th at 31 seconds, level on time with Elena Emiliusuk, who's 14th overall, and 21st for Kasia Nieuwedoma, who's 47 seconds. So they really have just now got to throw everything at Team Sunweb and try and break them down, because they're looking ominously strong so far.
They are, and with 3 riders that close to a good GC position, you know, it's all or nothing at this point. You don't want to come away and say, oh, I came 10th. You want to come away with a podium position. So for a team like this, they need to throw absolutely everything at this stage, and at this climb in particular, because after this the run-in is going to be faster and it's going to suit the sprinters a bit more, but they need to make this climb as hard as they can.
And again, behind you can just see Sunweb keeping that tempo nice and high, and I think that's suiting Corin Rivera. Back up to the front, and it's the Italian Marta Bastianelli that's working hard, the former world champion. She's having a great season, stage win earlier on in the year in the Tour of Valenciana, which was won actually by Hannah Barnes. She's won Gent-Wevelgem, she won the Grand Prix d'Otigny, she's won Brabant-Spiel as well. So having one of her strongest seasons so far.
She is having a brilliant season, and obviously for her team as well, they've not had any podiums yet this week on the stage wins, so they really want to use this opportunity. Anyone they can get up the road, anyone they can get on the TV time is a big advantage for them.
So they're pulling the Vittoria neutral service car out, and straight away, when you feel that car come past you, you know that your gap's dropping under 30 seconds. It's Georgia Williams now of Mitchelton Scott, the New Zealand national champion, that's got up to Hannah Barnes. And again, another rider, started her season really strongly, silver medalist in the Commonwealth Games, double national champion as well. So she's really stepped up this year.
Yeah, this is a good move by those riders, and at this point of the climb they're on, it was levelling off a little bit, but it is a nearly 7k climb. It is a long one, so they do need to sort of keep a lid on their tempo, ride around threshold, not go too deep at this point, but really work hard over the top of this.
We're starting to see the chasers in the distance. So these 2 riders, and Georgia Williams going into today's stage, 37th overall, 1 minute and 14 seconds down on the general classification. So at that sort of gap, she's a dangerous rider.
She is a dangerous rider, and like we've seen, Sunweb will be pleased in the front. I saw about 4 of them all lined up at the front there, which is brilliant team riding by them. They've got themselves very organised, and like you say, they've had to work hard every day at this stage race. You know, ever since Corinne's had the green jersey from day 2, they've been riding on the front, but even before that they were working for her. It has been a tough week for them on tough roads, plenty of climbing, relentless course.
And again, you're just seeing there, unfortunately, Gracie Alban has abandoned the stage today, this tough stage. Heading towards Colwyn Bay, you can see the conditions, and these are pretty gritty on the final day of this race.
This is a tough, epic final day. So climbing at the moment isn't too bad in these conditions. It's the descent that will be a lot more dodgy, especially when you've got riders that will be willing to take risks to try and get back on. Anyone that's dropped on this climb, you know, they've got nothing to lose. They'll be going for it on the descent. The climb at the moment is obviously a lot safer going uphill. But yeah, Wales has already made for an epic final day of this race.
It's living up to expectations. Marta Bastianelli, though, as soon as that car got pulled out, she started looking back over the shoulder, and when you do that, you just start to lose little fractions of a second here and there, don't you, rather than just putting your head down and going again, because you just never know what might happen behind.
Yeah, people always say don't look behind you. Of course, that means you then will immediately look behind you, because it is so easy to do. And it's easy for them behind. They've got a character chase, but out on your own, you've got nothing to focus on. And like you say, when that car come past, it is a sign, and then it's just so tempting to just have a little look over my shoulder, see where they are. And if they're in sight, perhaps that can spur you on a little bit to just dig a little bit deeper. I mean, if she can stay on over the top, that gets us some QOM points. That's also great news for her and her team. But yeah, like we say, Sunweb again just dominating this.
Hannah Barnes, though, setting a beautiful tempo behind former stage winner in this race into Hemel Hempstead in previous years. And Hannah, when she turned pro, everyone again really kind of pigeonholed her as a sprinter. But over the years, she's sort of winning more and more different races on lots of different terrain.
Oh, definitely. She's proven herself to be a good all-rounder. She's always been a very strong time trialist as well. Ever since she was a youth and a junior back racing in the UK, she's been very strong on the time trials. So I'm not surprised that she has developed into a very strong all-rounder on a variety of courses.
So over the top there, Marta Bastianelli takes maximum points in the Queen of the Mountains ahead of Georgia Williams and Hannah Barnes. And there you have it, your winner of the Skoda Queen of the Mountains for 2018, Elisa Longoborghini, crossing the line there in fourth to take 7 points.
Yeah, then it was, I think, 5 Sunweb riders there finishing out the top 10. So once again, they're all packing themselves at the front and keeping full control of this, even with Elisa Longoborghini trying to go for it here.
And it's Ellen van Dijk that's just closing the gap up to Elisa Longoborghini, who has a little look back over the shoulder as the catch is made. After the climb of the Cap 1 Nant Gwenant, Marta Bastianelli was reeled back in. It was proving to be a ferocious day of racing. The main contenders, who were hunting for every second and looking for any sign of weakness from race leader Colwyn Rivera. As they hit the final iceberg sprint point with 26.5 kilometers to go, the American, in a show of strength, took another 3-second bonus, with nearest rival Marianne Vos crossing the line second, with Christine Majerus in third. Rivera was looking ever more the champion in waiting as they headed into the closing stages and the finish in Colwyn Bay. Heading towards the closing stages of Stage 5 of the 2018 OVO Energy Women's Tour from Dolgethley to Colwyn Bay, 122.6 kilometres to end this year's race. We are all back together. It's Ellen van Dijk now on the front from Team Sunweb. And interesting, Joe, as Ellen just moves clear here. We had that little breakaway group, Kasia Nuvadoma, Amy Peters, going clear with Elisa Longoborghini, but importantly in there, Colwyn Rivera and Lucinda Brand from Sunweb. It meant that it came to nothing. They didn't want to take Rivera all the way to the finish because she didn't have to do any work. Yeah,
if that break had stayed away, it would have gained the other riders on their position overall in the GC, but it wouldn't have won them the bike race because you've got the green jersey with you, so it really wouldn't have been worthwhile for those riders to commit to that.
10 kilometres to go. And it's Chantal Black, the world champion, that rainbow jersey. Great to see her now on the attack. Paul Dolmans, of course, taking a victory yesterday with Amelie Deirdrickson. And it looks like Cecily Ludwig on the back here for Savella Bigler. And that pink jersey of Marianne Vos just attacking out of the group. But Colwyn Rivera is right on the wheel.
Colwyn Rivera is stuck to that wheel like glue. She is not letting anyone go across to that break without her in it. So with her teammate in there, that's perfect. She can just follow Vos's wheel, and if this comes back, it's all good. But currently, it's really Chantal Black putting in the hard work to drive this break.
So Cecily Ludwig, third place. She was on the attack yesterday in that breakaway group that came back with 6 kilometres to go. This peloton really stretched out here. You got Nia Evans there from Story Racing in the red, white and blue. Just caught a manhole there, and hands almost bounced off the bars.
Yeah, this running is a fast run into the finish here, and with it being the final stage, all those teams that haven't got a stage win yet are absolutely desperate to try and come away from this race with a stage win, and the pace is so fast. When it's all strung out like this, no one can move up, they're just clinging onto that wheel in front.
Two powerhouse legends really. Chantal Black, Ellen van Dijk behind her, comes into this race with a time trial victory, second in the general classification in the recent Thüringen stage race, former world time trial champion as well. So here for Team Sunweb, maybe let Ellen go up the road, takes the bonus seconds away from Marianne Vos on the line as well.
Cecilia Ludwig doesn't look too keen to work there, but she has come through now after a little bit of persuasion from her breakaway companions. We talked about a little bit of controversy yesterday over working in that breakaway she was in, but here she is doing a little turn on this group now.
And at the back, Agnieszka Costa, this run in towards the finish today. It looks on paper fairly sweeping, but it's quite technical in a way. Lots of sleeping policemen, as they call them.
Yeah, that always makes it difficult when you're going at speed. In terms of corners, in the last kilometre, there aren't any actual right-hand bends like there have been in the last few days. But this very, very quick run-in, everyone's going to be trying their luck, and the budget's going to be strung out for a very long time now.
So Agnieszka Costa had a dicey moment there as she came around that corner, back up to the front, and it's just a very, very small advantage for our three leaders, and it's Pauline Ferrand-Prévot of Canyon SRAM that's on the front doing the work to try and pull it back.
Canyon SRAM with a lot of work to do if they want to try and get a stage win now today. We've had all the climbs, it is now a fast run-in, so at the moment they're the ones on the back foot having to do the work to bring back this breakaway. And I've just caught a glimpse of Danny Rowe, who we've not seen much of today. I know she was suffering with injury overnight, but it's really good to see her up there in this front group in the dying stages of this race.
That blue jersey right in the centre of your picture now, Danny Rowe, the Adnams best British rider. Floorty Mackay just came through there for Team Sunweb. Her teammates were just shouted into the radio almost to check maybe if she was allowed to go up the road, but maybe just a little easy tiger there. You're just pulling clear.
Yes, Sunweb have been so dominant this race, and once again in this run-in, they're just dictating the whole thing. They're going off the front if they want to, they're bringing things back if they want to, and they're in complete control. They've got it all their own way.
Just having a look round the front of the group there in that red Iceberg Sprints jersey. There's Amy Peters, Hannah Barnes there as well for Canyon SRAM in that dark blue, pink and purple jersey. Hannah Barnes, fast finish that she's got. She had a little dig earlier on in the stage, but now free to have a little bit of a gallop at the end if she wants to.
Yeah, with this fast finish, most riders will know by this point in this stage race who are the best sprinters here. So those that already know they're not getting a stage win against some of these best sprinters, like Corinne Rivera, like Georgia Bronzini, like Jolene Dore, although she is not here anymore. Those riders have all got those stage wins. So up to everyone else, if they want to win something, they've got to go on the attack now. They've got to do something special, because if not, it's going to go the way it's gone before.
Georgia Williams from Mitchelton Scott had a look back there and just saw Sarah Roy there just shaking her head, and maybe to calm Georgia Williams down a little bit, not hit out too early here in the lead out, because that's the most important thing, isn't it? You see Sunweb that are right on the front here, teams that might not have so many riders in, they don't want to use up any riders that they could use for their lead out too early.
Yeah, it's easy to get overexcited, and this is where before the race you'll come into the race with a plan from your DS, but in the actual heat of the moment things change and other teams do different tactics you weren't expecting, so you have to be able to make those reactions and make those decisions on the road in the heat of the moment, and you'll have a DS in the radio in your ear, but they won't have such a good view as what you've got as the bike racer. So most teams will have a team captain out on the road, and that'll be a rider, normally a very experienced rider, normally someone that's very good at positioning the peloton, and it'll be their job to communicate with the other girls in their team what the team tactics should be and how they should perhaps change their tactics given however the race is developing in front of them.
And when you get into the lead out like this, because you as a Olympic champion on the track in the 4,000 meter pursuit, great time trialist as well, you've got riders in there that do the big long turns to keep control of the breakaway, then they do the first part of the lead out, and then the rider's sort of dynamic changes as you go back through the lead out to take your sprinter right the way to the point just before the line where they want to jump.
Yeah, so teams will spend time on training camps normally over the winter working on things like lead outs. You get to know what type of riders are best at what, who are better for the technical finishes, who are better for the big long turns early on to keep that bunch strung out. So a lot of work will go into lead outs for teams, but again they have to be dynamic to be able to change that on race day. You might lose a key rider through a puncture or a crash or a mechanical, or perhaps they just haven't got the legs that day. So the best lead out is one where if you've done your job properly, you'll probably come last in that group. You know, if you've given absolutely everything, you've really turned yourself inside out on the front of that bunch to string it out or to bring back any attacks, you've got absolutely nothing left. So that's how I was taught early on in my career. If I did a proper lead out, I wouldn't be hanging on for replacing myself. You know, I'd be whoosh backwards in that bunch afterwards.
5 kilometres to go. We just then get a little glimpse of yesterday's stage winner, Natalie Grincher. She's a little bit further down the group here. So today we're seeing Amy Peters from Bull Dolmans up towards the front. Chantal Black is there as well. So maybe one of the other riders from there is getting the nod today. But Sunweb still got the pressure on the front. I've also caught a glimpse of Trek Drops coming up towards the front as well. Abby May Parkinson. They've just got 3 riders left. Lizzie Holden and also Eva Buurman. You've got to give a bit of a mention to Eva Buurman. She sits 8th overall, 31 seconds down going into today. So Trek Drops, even though they've been pretty devastated in this race from injuries, they're still riding high and challenging for the stage victories if they can.
They are. I think Abby May particularly has ridden very well. She's the 2nd highest placed British rider behind Danny Rowe, and that's a great result for her. She is still a young rider, she is still developing, and like we said yesterday, Trek Drops has seemed to be a brilliant team for developing these young riders and giving them exposure to these high level races.
So we're down onto the seafront. You can see the seawall there. 4 kilometres to go, and now this is the run-in all the way to the line. They'll have a crosswind coming in from the right, and you can just see behind again Chantal Black always looking around just to see where the teammates are behind. And it's going to be, do you think, who's got the strength in numbers come this finish? But there's a lot of sprinters in there as well. They just like to freelance the sprint. They can jump onto the back of the other trains. We're seeing the Wiggle High 5 team, and for the first time really in this race, Kirsten Wild coming up onto the wheel with Lisa Brennauer, and they're just kind of dropping her in on Christine Majerus.
Yeah, so Wiggle High 5 without a stage win this race, and Kirsten Wild is their top sprinter. So that was good to see Lisa Brennauer bringing her up there, just dropping her into 3rd wheel, into a good position so she can follow the other riders. But currently it's Chantal Black now in control with Christine Majerus on her wheel, and Chantal Black is a supremely experienced rider. When she won the Worlds last year, she wasn't the name on everyone's lips before the race, but when she did win, I don't think anyone was surprised, because she is so good and she is so strong and ever so knowledgeable and ever so useful at the pointy end of a bike race like this.
So now we're seeing the colours of FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine for Tourascope. Monique Teniglo now on the fronts, and their sprinter is Roxane Fournier. She's had some good strong top 10s this week, but again you see Monique working really hard on the front here. For FDJ, they kind of need a little bit more organisation in this lead out. Again, they're just coming to the front maybe a little bit too soon.
Yeah, we're inside the last 3k to go now with just these 2 riders. That's a heck of a long way to go for your lead out rider, so you really want to try and jump onto someone else's train. So there'll be other sprinters further back in the bunch here who will just be using other people's lead outs, following the wheels, and a smart sprinter, you know, you can have the best lead out in the world, but if you know whose wheel to follow, you don't have to have that perfect lead out.
We've just seen Amelie Deirdrickson just bringing Amy Peters up towards the front, and you can see the pink jersey of Mariana Vos. She's wearing the breast cancer care points jersey again. Here come Wiggle High 5. Sarah Roy is also well to the front. Watch out for Lotte Lepisto. She's well to the front. The Finnish national champion. Now you can see the seafront. The promenade here just sweeps in towards the finish. Again, those colours of Trek Drops moving through those black jerseys with the multicoloured stripes. And again, Lotte Lepisto just battling back on the wheel.
Marianne Vos has been on the podium every day so far in these stage finishes, so we can just see that pink jersey slipping back a little bit right now, but don't discount her to find her way back up to the front. But now it's Canyon Schramm putting in some big work on the front now.
Canyon Schramm coming through to the front, strength in numbers. Hannah Barnes looking comfortable. There's Deirdrickson there in the orange jersey. She's again just moving maybe through towards the front again. Now 2 kilometres to go, and it's on the front Kasia Nuvedoma, Lisa Klein behind her, then comes Hannah Barnes, then Lotte Lepisto. So all looking around now at the front, who can get control here as we run in towards the finish in Colwyn Bay.
We've got such a fast lead in, no corners at all to speak of in this last 2K. But that can equally be very technical as well. If the bunches ease up like it does now, if the lead-up trains just ease off slightly and it all bunches up, that can make it very sketchy in the bunch.
Again, Wiggle High Five trying to bring Kirsten Field up towards the front. We just saw the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey of Elisa Longa-Borghini. She's got Kirsten Field right on the wheel. It's Lisa Brennau on the front. Sarah Roy is on the wheel of Kirsten Field. So a lot of riders now looking around for the multiple world track champion from this year. Abby May Parkinson from Trek Drops also getting through towards the front.
Everyone's trying to use the opportunity to move up because the pace came off just a little bit there, but now we've got FDJ back on the front trying to string it out again, which will be a lot safer for all the riders further back.
And for Wiggle High Five, Audrey Cordon-Rago, but Abby May Parkinson looking good. She's got Reiter on her wheel. Mariana Vos in that jersey. So remember, Vos 14 seconds down overall. There's a 10-second bonus on the line. Corin Rivera's just got to lock herself to the wheel of Mariana Vos. Those blue jerseys again, blue and white for FDJ Aquitaine. 1 kilometre to go.
Wiggle High Five are meaning business at this point. They've got a rider on the front here with Kirsten Wild tucked in behind. This could be a perfect finish for Kirsten Wild here. This really fast sprint finish for a big, powerful rider like her.
Now it's the colours of the British team, Trek Drops, that hit the front. Can they snatch the stage victory on the final day? Audrey Cordon-Rago, the work is done by her, just drops back down the group. Amelie Deirdrickson here is just going to ride in on the back, yesterday's stage winner.
Yeah, job done for Audrey Cordon-Rago. She's done her work on the front now. It's up to Kirsten Wild to try and finish us off for Wiggle High Five. But a lot of teams in contention at the moment trying to get their sprinter up to the front.
300 metres to go, and it's Elisa Longa-Borghini that hits the front with Kirsten Wild right on the wheel. Majerus is there, but look at that pink jersey. Mariana Vos, Raxam Fournier is there, but here comes Lotta Lepisto. Georgia Bronzini is up there. Lotta Lepisto's got the front. Lepisto takes it. Cervello Bigler get the stage victory, and Georgia Bronzini has to settle for second place. And we saw a little fist pump from Corin Rivera.
That was an amazing sprint by Lotta Lepisto. She just hid herself perfectly that whole lead out. She didn't have many teammates on the front working for her. She was tucked in nicely behind Marianne Vos, who, like we said, has been so consistent this week. And then she just popped out before the finish, and that's Georgia Bronzini taking second place there.
Lotta Lepisto edges out Georgia Bronzini for the win in Colwyn Bay. Mariana Vos is third and Marta Bastianelli fourth. Corin Rivera in the green jersey came in eighth to seal the overall victory. A great win for Lotta Lepisto on the final stage of the 2018 OVO Energy Women's Tour. Third place for Mariana Vos helped her secure the Breast Cancer Points classification. The Iceberg Sprints jersey goes to Team Sunweb's Corin Rivera. Elisa Longa-Borghini of Wiggle High Five is the Skoda Queen of the Mountains. The Adnams' best British rider is Danny Rowe.
Danny, 2 jerseys, the team prize, and of course 2 podium positions, and all after a very heavy fall that we thought you might not return from yesterday. What are your emotions?
Yeah, I'm relieved to have got through today. I've actually never suffered so much on a bike before. I thought I was all right this morning, but yeah, it was really painful. But yeah, that aside, I'm just so proud to be part of this team. Everyone just works so hard to retain our overall kind of second and third on the podium and my British jersey. It was a total team effort from everyone. So yeah, I'm really happy. It's my best result yet on the road. To be third in a World Tour race of this level is just incredible. And obviously the Women's Tour being in the UK just makes it even more special.
And Team Sunweb's Corin Rivera is the winner of the 2018 OVO Energy Women's Tour. Rivera's advantage over Mariana Vos was 11 seconds in the end. A great performance from Danny Rowe to claim third place, just ahead of Christine Majerus, Amy Peters and Elisa Longa-Borghini.
Well, earlier on today I promised a thrilling finale, and that certainly didn't fail to impress. Corin, what does this mean? I know how hungry you've been for this all week.
Yeah, it's a really cool feeling and really kind of unexpected for me. I'm not normally a GC leader, but this race really suits me and my strengths, and also the team and our strengths. So we really put a lot of work into this week and really proud of what we've done.
What's it been like out there on the road, and what have been some key moments, key highlights?
Yeah, it's really amazing, the fans here in the UK, and also winning stage 2. There's a different feeling from winning a stage and putting your hands up to, you know, crossing the line, not first, but you're still winning GC here at the end of the week. So that was definitely a highlight for me, and also all the hard work that the team and the staff have put in to stay in this jersey.
And this is a fantastic race, isn't it?
Yeah, I really do love this race, and it's really setting the standard of how a women's World Tour race, stage race, especially should be. And yeah, I'm really honored to win this race.
Congratulations to you and the team once
Thank you
again,
very
and
much.
thanks for joining us. That's all we've got time for here at the 2018 edition of the OVO Energy Women's Tour. Until next year, bye-bye for now.